Picture this, you're deep in the hollow, surrounded by enemies, not a single hamburger in sight, and with a perfectly timed dodge counter, you unleash a chain of aftershock attacks that leaves nothing but dust. That's the kind of power Soldier Zero Ambi brings to Zenless on Zero, but only if you know how to wield her. I've spent hours playing around with her kid, dodging every bullet and stacking every silver star mark to bring you 10 game-changing tips that will make you an Ambi legend. From unlocking her full DPS potential to building the ultimate team, these strategies will have you dominating like never before. So if you're ready to shock the competition, let's dive in. Hello everybody, my name is Hako and welcome into the channel. This video is entirely dedicated to our little hamburger girl. Whenever a new agent comes out in Zenless on Zero, I play them religiously in order to bring you the best content I can muster, and then when the next new agent comes out, I completely forget how to play the old one. But while I still have Sanby fresh in my memory, let me give you my 10 best tips to mastering her. But before we get too technical, let's talk about what Ambi actually does. Every character in this game has their bread and butter, and Ambi's bread and butter is building up her silver star mark. Whenever Ambi attacks an enemy and does any sort of attack on it, the silver star mark will charge and it has 3 stages of charging. We always want to charge this at the 3rd level, and then we use her special attacks to kinda expand the charges. If we do so in a quick succession, a lightning strike from the sky will strike the enemy and deal a decent amount of damage. So your most basic way of charging this star is through the basic attack. It's quite a simple attack string. You do 4 attacks, then if you either press repeatedly or hold the button for the 5th attack, she will do 5 dashes in quick succession. But there are some other very useful ways of charging the star. Ambi's dodge counter applies kind of half a mark. But if you're playing her in an aftershock team, so with Palka for example, there is some decision making whether to evasive assist or do a dodge counter, but let's get to that later on. But that is my tip number 1. Do not forget your dodge counters. They are an excellent way of actually building up the silver star mark. So in the same vein, we also reach tip number 2, do not neglect assist attack and dodge counter. And what I mean by that is by leveling these ones up. If we look at Ambi's suggestion tree, we can see that dodge and assist are kind of put at the very last, with dodge even being put at the very bottom. But if you use your dodge counter a lot, which I would recommend you doing, then putting some points into it might be worthwhile, although I know leveling up a character is expensive, but if you plan on using Ambi a lot, leveling up dodge will give you somewhat of a boost. And if we just look at the damage multipliers of it, at level 7, it actually out damages my level 16 Ellens, while also charging the silver star mark. So tip number 3, always finish the 5th attack after your EX special. So after you're done your EX special, if you hold your special attack button with enough energy, Ambi will throw out her weapon, and the weapon will trace a circular pattern in front of her. Any enemies that get hit by this gets a fully charged silver star mark. A lot of people, they will do their EX special and then immediately start spamming special attack. But there is something that the EX special doesn't tell you, it is that it allows you to immediately go into her 5th basic attack. So like the 5 slashes that we normally have to do basic attack 1, 2, 3 and 4 in order to reach, after the EX special we get them for free, if you choose to utilize it. Now this might seem a little bit counterintuitive since you cannot gain any more silver star marks because you'll already be capped out. However, it is still worthwhile doing because otherwise you simply lose out on it, because the 5th basic attack is really where the punch is when it comes to our basic attack string, and we don't get to follow up with it after we've expended the marks. So do an EX special, and then after that you do the 5th basic attack that you get for free, and after that you expend your charges even if you're overcapped. From my extensive testing, doing it this way always wins out. And number 4, in a group of enemies, EX special is your friend. So once again, her EX special is the attack we do if we hold the special attack button with enough energy. Her weapon will trace a circle in front of her, and the enemy that gets caught gets fully marked with a silver star mark. Now a lot of content in the game will start you off with 1 trash wave in the beginning, so 5 or 6 smaller smaller minions, and then a big bad comes in after them. It is a significant reduce in clear time if you manage to get this first wave hit with your EX special and marks all of them. Even better if you can also group them up, because when you expend these charges and the lightning strike comes down, the more enemies we can hit at the same time, the more damage will happen. Because her special attack, Thunder Smite, has an area to it. So if the enemies are being grouped up, they're standing on the same square, they will kind of chain react with each other and they will die within seconds. And this is really where Ambi shines, and not so much when she has to hunt down enemies one by one. And for tip number 5, this is gonna be a very universal tip, especially if you're playing any sort of attacker. Save energy for stun windows and also decibels. So why do we want to save up energy? Well, so we can do our hardest hitting rotation when an enemy is stunned. And our hardest hitting rotation would be EX special, do the 5th basic attack, expend all of the charges, EX special again, and expend all of the charges. And if we have enough decibels, we can also slam in an ultimate in the beginning. So ultimate, expend all the charges. EX special, 5th basic attack, expend charges. EX special, 5th basic attack, and then expend all charges. But as a bonus tip on this one, if an enemy has any charges like before you do EX special attack or before you do your ultimate, make sure to use them up. Both ultimate and EX special gives you a fully stacked silver star mark. So if the enemy has 1 or 2 stacks, might as well use them before we do the other attack, to not waste any silver star marks. And for number 6, this one is a little bit tricky because it doesn't tell you so in the description, but the lightning that comes down from the sky after you expend 3 marks only happens if you use your special attacks quickly to expend the marks. If you let more than a second go between expending a mark to the next one, they will not happen. And if you read on the special attack Thunder Smite, when the additional damage from White Thunder triggers 3 times on the same enemy, a lightning strike will fall at the enemy's location, dealing electric damage to enemies within range. Now, when I first started out with Ambi, I thought that, it just held an internal counter and, there was no time limit in between them, but it is a very fine time limit. If you haven't done 3 stacks already on an enemy and expend them kind of at the same time, this lightning strike will not happen. Having 2 marks, expending them, then working up to the 3rd mark, expending that one will not result in a thunder. And this is basically why we always want to stack up to 3 before we expend the charges. Number 7, grouping is very helpful. So, like I was saying earlier, Ambi really shines when she can have a lot of enemies on the same place and they can kind of chain react off each other. And for all intents and purposes, building Silver Star Mark, you'd rather have them all in the same place because every enemy that gets hit gets the same amount of Silver Star charges. So yeah, grouping is super helpful. So like bringing Nicole, bringing Resonamu, etc. Like anything to help with grouping really helps out. And for number 8, this one I like to call understand what her intention is or what the dev's intention was with Ambi. All other attackers or hypercarriers in general in this game are very selfish and it's all about them. If you have a Miyabi team, it's all about making Miyabi as strong as possible. If you have an Ellen team, Evelyn team, etc., it's all about that hypercarry, and we always use supplement to make that hypercarry stronger. And that hypercarry's kit only benefits themselves. Here is where Soldier Zero Ambi differs. It is almost a little bit misleading having Ambi as an attack because I would like to call her specialty a leader. She's had some of her own potential, some of her own damage allocated to actually buffing and enabling the team. She's not an aftershock hypercarry necessarily, she's an aftershock leader. If we look at Ambi's core skill and her additional ability, it is all about enabling aftershock for herself but also for her entire team. Say that you reach 250% crit rate of the buffs with Ambi, she will increase the crit damage that can be done with aftershock by 75%, and additional ability Voltage Surge, it just flats out increases all members aftershock damage to enemies with a silver star mark by 25%. Your aftershock potency with Ambi is insanely much higher than without her. She benefits from this, but so does her teammates, like Pulchra and Trigger. Now, we don't know how common aftershock units are gonna be, so it's hard to gauge Ambi's full value yet, but just know that she was released before her time, and she's here to buff a mechanic that is new together with her. So Ambi's best days are still ahead of her. And for number 9, learn when to switch and when to dodge. If we're playing with Pulchra, like a lot of people are doing right now, and I would recommend, Pulchra and Sanby have been absolutely goated together. But if you play these two, Ambi always comes up with a choice whenever an enemy does a hit. Do we switch out the Pulchra, or do we take the dodge counter and benefit from the extra silver star mark that's being built? Now, this one always comes down to Pulchra. If Pulchra is inactive, she isn't in her Hunter Gate mode, we switch to Pulchra. When a hit comes, switch to Pulchra, she will do an evasive assist. That evasive assist will in turn trigger a quick assist back to Ambi. And as soon as we get back to Ambi, we want to do a special attack to trigger Pulchra, and after that have Pulchra go crazy. But this little rotation takes 1 to 2 seconds, and chances are that there's gonna be another hit flying from the enemy very soon after we have switched back to Ambi. In that case, stay on Ambi and instead just take the dodge counter instead of switching back to Pulchra that's just recently been activated. So what I like to do on general, a little bit depending on enemy times, is we switch every other. First, we switch to Pulchra, activator, we switch back, next hit we dodge, and the hit that comes after that one, we switch back to Pulchra again to activate her. Like playing her with Pulchra or playing her with Trigger is a very quick switchy team, which I find to be really fun. But yeah, don't over switch to Pulchra if she doesn't need it. If she still has, 4 or 5 hits left of her Hunter Gate state, maybe it's better to just do a dodge counter. Also remember, anytime you switch back to Pulchra, that costs you 1 assist point. And ever since we got Miyabi to the game and a lot of people started playing them, well, a common complaint with newer characters has been that they're lacking iframes. But remember, Soldier Zero Ambi does have iframes on her special attack and her EX special. So for number 10, do not forget that. Special attack and EX special does have iframes. and she can be quite spammy with her special attack. So if you find yourself about to take a big hit, maybe doing a special attack ending up on the other side of the boss is a good idea, or do an EX special if you want an even longer duration. Then mastering the timing on this will help out the survival significantly. And remember, she was designed to work with aftershock units, so a lot of the time the question and answer to like, how do I handle this next hit is to not have Ambi handle it, and instead we're switching out to either Trigger or Pulchra. Alright, everybody, that was 10 tips, but this is kind of fun, so let's keep going with a few special more that I find extra important. Number 11. Remember, Soldier Zero Ambi will get better with time. The supporting side of electric is still a little bit lacking, and if we got a unit like Lighter that can, give a massive amount of increase to electric damage bonus, Ambi would shine even more, and especially as we get more aftershock units, Ambi's value is gonna rise. So like I said earlier, her best days are still ahead of her. Now the teammate that is really made to work well with her right now is Pulchra, but we're also gonna get Trigger, and I would say do not sleep on how much damage these units can deal. Now I've seen a lot of people build Pulchra with a 4-piece Astral Voice. I would advise against that. All the testing I've done is that you get better results if you actually lean into the damage potential of Pulchra and instead run there on a 4-piece Shadow Harmony. This is of course a lot of personal preference, and if you'd rather have Pulchra be more of a buffer, that still works, but in my experience in my testing, it felt a lot better if Pulchra was actually doing a decent chunk of damage, which she is very capable of doing if paired up with Sanby. So yeah, everybody, those are my most important tips that I could think of when it came to like improving my own gameplay with Soldier Zero Ambi. If you have any other tips that you've implemented in your own playstyle and you'd like to share with the community, please do so down in the comments. And if you found any of my tips especially helpful, please let me know which one. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. I put out Zenless content basically every day. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Hako out.